welcome in. We'll give a few minutes here before we get started and maybe just do a little bit of rambling. Travis, how are you doing on this beautiful, wonderful, kind of cold eve before baseball?
Not too bad. I had golf practice, and then I had some stuff to do earlier. Then I painted my car. Oh, actually, I washed my car.
I didn't see much paint on that, man.
No, but I did get to paint a little bit of it. So we painted a little bit of it. So painted a little bit, and then got ate dinner at my parents' house. They invited me over for walking tacos, and then I decided to stream iRacing for a little bit. I struggled a little bit, and then I'm here.
To be fair, though, you just got done running at Daytona and then decided to jump in the dirt. So it's a little bit of a different, and you didn't just jump in the dirt. You went modified, then you went wing sprint. So
And I raced Richmond in an Xfinity car. That was a little experience. I did a little better than I thought I would, if I'm going to be honest. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So, Joe, what did you do exciting today?
Oh, I've done a couple things exciting today. I did a podcast.
Hosted a show, yeah.
I did a podcast earlier about.
You pissed Travis.
I don't know what happened there. Yeah, Travis was like, "I'm out."
When you have marital affairs with our show,
I cheated on the show and did another show today.
What was that?
That was we talked to NIL. It's called a show on the grueling truth called Survive and Advance. Steve Risley, former IU basketball player, 1981 national champion, and Mike Goodpasser are also on that show. They were kind enough to have me today, and so I did that earlier. And then we had a little baseball practice. Travis is upside down. Then I came home from that, and I was watching Travis do some iRacing, which I thought was incredible. Until he decided to get in a sprint car and didn't do so well there. I will tell you, this week for me, the kids are on spring break. This week for me has been filled up with playing NR 2003, little NASCAR 2003. Got addicted, wore out my steering wheel, had to buy another one.
Legitimately, and literally
wore it out. And now my 9-year-old son's addicted to it. I can't get him off of it. He was actually in here playing, and I was like, "You got to get out. Ryan and Travis and I have to do a show." And he was like, "But I'm in the middle of this." And I'm like, "I don't know, wreck out or something. Have some fun with it. Get out of here."
It's better to be him to be addicted to that than
like heroin. Yeah.
That is good. I'm glad Michael hasn't went down that path. Good for him. Way to keep him on the straight and narrow, Joe.
You got two choices in life.
Yeah. You do something with it or hyper addictive drugs. So at recess, we saw Michael with a needle between his toes, guys. I don't know what's going on, but
my dad said I could either do this or iRacing. I chose this.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Coming for you, Byron.
So anyway.
Well, I guess nobody will be fighting him, Joe. I mean, like he'll just lift up their car and just throw it and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, since you guys asked, I mowed. So that was fun. And I have had like a week and a half worth of work that feels like 6 months. So this has been a great release just to come down here and be able to talk NASCAR. Otherwise, I think I would go crazy. Anthony said next time you run sprints, I will jump on. Well, he'll be at the track. Track
Anthony,
you run on.
Anthony, you said that when Travis was at Daytona last week, you said next time you get on, I'm getting on. I feel like you're just saying this every time you see him, like, hey, next time we're gonna race. So I don't know.
And Anthony, Joe thinks you're a liar, and that's how we're gonna start the show.
I don't think.
Welcome in. Cheers. I may have put words in Joe's mouth. Tomato. Hopefully you all are having a wonderful Wednesday evening. I also will be getting a new rig. So I will be jumping in on the iRacing with the sweaties and trying not to break said investment after having it. I've already seen, you guys already saw what happens. It's very competitive. People get upset. They want to leave leagues after the first race. Very, very competitive in people's mom's basement, using their dad's credit cards, they're not knowing, and buying tracks. So I cannot wait to jump in that game. We have a chat already. Joe, no, that's not the case. Travis Butt knows I've been getting car ready for Saturday. Shane is
I believe you.
Shane might be practicing on Saturday. I'm not sure. Will he be practicing Saturday?
He'd
Will he
be
be
practicing probably
listening on
peeing on a
somebody?
trailer.
Let's say $25 to go into the pit at Lawrenceburg just to piss on somebody else's vehicle. We don't know. That is what the great mystery is. But thank you guys for joining in. Want to start off with a quick question, and I'm going to lead it off with Mr. Joe Spillman because he is an expert in this field. There was a sinkhole in North Wilkesboro. Joe,
Yeah.
you know all about sinkholes. Big sinkhole guy.
Yeah.
And it revealed a tunnel that moonshine used to be bootleg through. Joe, what do you have to say about the bootleg moonshine Underground Railroad?
Oh, I think it's an incredible piece of our history. Obviously, North Wilkesboro, right down there in the hub of moonshining country, down there in Appalachia, as they say. So, I think, or did they say Appalachia? How do they say that?
I don't know.
Appalachian?
I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Appalachian Trail, if you will. No,
I feel like that's not right.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
probably
that's not
not.
right.
In all seriousness, I mean that's pretty damn cool, right? I mean they have this racetrack there. It's how long's North Wilkesboro been sitting there?
1946.
Yeah, so and they just recently renovated it and went through all that renovation without this being discovered, and then all of a sudden they have a piece of the stand collapse, and they're like, "Huh."
I'll be
Looks like
damned.
looks like they used to hide moonshine down there. That's pretty damn neat, really.
That is pretty cool.
They need to restore the cellar that sunk in and try to restore it and maybe put some, like see-through glass over it so fans can look down in it. And I mean, that would be cool because that really is a piece of history. Being kind of serious about it.
Yeah, so you're wanting them to go like full Corvette museum in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard? 1945 is when ground broke. Travis, you said 46, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sure by
I
the time
thought
they
it was
started
close. I couldn't remember if it was 46 or 47.
Yeah, I wish you were good at knowing when tracks were built as you could be in like rolling off the grid. Nobody was as good as Joe Spillman, but even Joe left points on the table, and we'll watch that here in a little bit too. So, Joe, they know where the stash is now. They need it. Well, I went with cheers. By the way, the Dreamsicle. Anybody gave that a shot? Yeah,
I can
Travis,
tell you
we
this.
got it, dude. We got it, bro. We're not getting sponsored, man.
If you can't see through your moonshine, it ain't worth drinking.
It's a sipping cream.
I can smell it from here.
Well, that might be something else, actually. That might be from work, honestly. Travis, did you have any comments or remarks, or were you completely stunned by knowing that there is an underground tunnel for moonshine underneath?
I think I was a little bit more shocked to see all the, they posted a picture of the them digging a little bit, and then all of a sudden it was like all the bleachers were removed, and then all of a sudden there was this big gashing hole, and then all of a sudden he said, "Oh, we think we found a moonshine thing." So it was a pretty couple days right there.
I'm the dumbass that was just when I first saw it, I'm like, "Oh, cool, they're putting in bleachers," and then I just moved on.
I thought they were just putting in bleachers. I didn't realize.
I was like, "Oh, yes, that's newsworthy." Jesus.
I don't know when the sinkhole happened, but have you guys noticed that sinkholes are pretty big here of late? Yeah. Like the Baltimore Bridge, that was a sinkhole. I'm just kidding. That's ripped.
That was terrible.
Bad. Terrible. No, there and then Pebble Beach, number 18, has a sinkhole. There's been so many sinkholes lately.
Joe, my granddad told me that they used to use cast iron tubs and light their moonshine on fire, and if it glowed blue, it was high proof.
Yeah, my granddad just told me to drink it.
Yeah.
And if I got drunk, it was good shit.
Yeah. And we got John Forster in. John, hopefully you're having a wonderful afternoon. John, one of our OGs. John's an OG.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's momentum is key, and Chase Briscoe is only. See, now John. John bleeds and dies for Stuart Haas Racing. Josh Berry could be a sleeper finish in the 9th and 2nd. They're still growing strong and finishing. And what a weird weekend for SCVG. It was. So thank you, John. So moving forward, again, we don't get a lot of news anymore. People aren't getting fined. There's not, the most interesting thing was the continuation of the very passive, aggressive, or I guess aggressive nice talk that Kyle Busch had with Christopher Bell. That's pretty much it for what we had as news. But I did want to talk to you guys and get your thoughts on this. NASCAR is up between 10 to 20% on average viewership for racing so far this year. Last week was 10%, which I thought was pretty good when it had to compete for the NCAA tournament. Last week it was up, I believe, 16%. We've seen Formula One actually go down in viewership as predicted. And I just wanted to know, Travis, do you think that Netflix has anything to do with this? Is NASCAR in a good spot with its schedule and that's doing a really good thing? Is it the Chase Elliott effect because we didn't have him last year? What do you think is leading to what we've seen so far from a viewership standpoint?
I mean, I think you look at like the Daytona 500, even races before Chase Elliott got hurt. I think you see some of those numbers going up. I do part of it think a Chase Elliott effect is a little bit, but Netflix I think has a bigger result on that than anything else. I was actually a little disappointed. Speaking of Netflix, I know this is off a little bit, but Chase Elliott was talking about Netflix and stuff like that, and he said he didn't really care to do all that stuff. All I really heard about it was like, I'm already popular enough. Like people don't need to see what I'm actually doing, behind the scenes and stuff. I want to focus on racing. So, but I think, Netflix is a little bit more into that. And I just think that, the product's been good the last couple of years, besides some of the road courses and short tracks that I think there's some, we got a new wave coming in that people realize like NASCAR is kind of cool. NASCAR is still kind of fun to watch. And things like that. And you really, really think about this too. There's been a lot of restaurants that's been sponsoring NASCAR lately.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times like Cheddar's, Hooters, there's been more restaurants than that. So yeah, think about it too. All those restaurants are going to have the race on as well.
For my folks, Dollar Tree stepped in.
Yeah. Dollar Tree could have a TV in the back room. I don't know. Or they got it outside because, the people that all work there, they all sit outside and smoke 24 packs of cigarettes a day. And then they walk back in when you're coming in. Did you guys ever see that?
I help you?
I could test the folks at the Dollar Tree / Dollar Store, Family Dollar. They don't have time to smoke because if our local stores are any indication of how those places are ran, they have one person working, and they expect them to unload a truck and cash you out when you're trying to leave. So I don't know how they have time to do anything.
But the thing that I like about the dollar store, I think it's a great business model that it's almost like they're wanting you to stock the shelf with the amount of boxes they put on the one shelf or the aisle that you need. Right. So, I mean, that's actually a smart idea. They're like, well, we don't really want to pay another employee, like you said, Joe. Yeah. So what if our customer just stocks the son of a bitch himself because he's tired of it? And then,
hey, you want to get down this aisle? Put your shit up.
Yeah, get your fucking Frosted Wheaties after you put 3 boxes on the shelf, you piece of shit. And, and they actually will check you out. So, I mean, that's a good thing, too. Great business model. I can't believe only 1,000 of them are closing now. Travis, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I agree. I think it's all that sponsor money they gave Legacy.
Yeah,
but I think I think it's just a multitude of things. I don't think you can really pinpoint it. I think Chase Elliott has something to do with it. I'm not gonna say he's not, but I also think that with all the businesses kind of getting involved with NASCAR a little bit more, I think with Netflix, things and stuff like that. I think there's a multitude of reasons why it's been going up.
Joe, what do you think?
Well, I would have said before last year, I would have said that I refuse to believe that one driver would have that much effect on the viewership of a single sport. Uh, until we saw what happened with Chase Elliott last year, and the numbers steadily declined throughout the year. I think this year, just like Travis said, I think it's a combination of both the Chase Elliott effect. Although I will say I feel like Chase Elliott's fandom is actually degrading a little bit, in my opinion. I mean, I
Bristol
think
might have been a firsthand experience of that. He
yeah,
didn't
and
get just
I
as
don't
many boos as cheers.
right, and I think that is helping the viewership, but
Bro, he's your biggest fan. We got the butt posse, but Zach is here for you, man. He's a big fan.
Anyway,
I know.
anyway,
I'm sorry.
I think that Netflix has a lot to do with a new demographic that is coming in and at least checking NASCAR out. And I don't know if it's a bubble. I don't know if this is, hey, I watched this Netflix thing, I'm going to check out a race, or hey, NASCAR's on, I'm going to watch this. Hopefully those new viewers aren't tuning in for their first race like we saw last week. Hopefully they don't tune in for their first race this week. Not to foreshadow anything we're going to talk about, but hopefully their first race is Bristol or Daytona or a good mile and a half. But I think Netflix has more to do with it than Chase Elliott.
Here, I got a question, and you guys can answer this however you want, but is it like we went through 2 years, it felt like, and I'm not taking anything away or anything like this, but we had 2 years where I felt like we really hyped up some drivers that fans really don't like. I felt like they went through, actually, our boy
Still
Carl's calling us. Sorry,
Yeah.
Carl, I can't answer you right now. I'll call you back.
Yeah, tell him he's gonna owe me when Khalil Ware gets drafted in the first round.
I'll call him back. Hey, but no, I mean, you got to think about that. They were really high on some of these drivers, and if we're going to be honest with you, like think about some of the drivers that fans really don't like. Like they're not being advertised or promoted as much as what they were last year or the year before. I mean, like I'm just gonna say it, like Bubba, he, I look at it a couple years ago. I felt like it was just every week that he was getting promoted, running 15th, 20th spot. He was getting promoted. Where if you look at this year, I don't think I've seen commercials or I've seen some of the stuff with him like I was last year and stuff. And I don't know if it has anything to do with that. I just think that just kind of like where my eyes are going. It's like, okay, they're actually promoting people that are like fan favorites, like, the Elliots, the Larsons, the, some of the other people that are more popular, stuff like that. And actually there's some, like Denny, like I said all the time, I love Denny's talk show and I love some of this stuff. Do I want to see him win? Absolutely not. But I also think that, they understand, okay, maybe if we just promote Denny as like a villain and, maybe not promote him as much, there's some watching. So I don't know, maybe NASCAR's finally found the right marketing with some of this as well.
I will say, so they hired a social media person or agency, or they're supposed to go House of Highlights, all this other stuff. To that effect, I think NASCAR does such a poor job marketing that you don't notice it because they just don't market at all. I mean, they're kind of like, to me, like baseball, but even baseball is getting better. I've seen during the race, there was so many advertisement for Saturday baseball, Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez, they were doing a really, really good job with that. 21 Pilots doing the song, things of that nature. When I watch other sports, I don't see commercials for NASCAR. So I still think NASCAR drops the ball on that aspect. That being said, I think a shift has happened when it comes to like somebody like Bubba. He actually did really good last year for his own terms of what we've seen. He advances multiple rounds. So I think maybe now that say credence of he ain't worth the shit, blah, 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 blah. And you can have whatever you think of Bubba as a person probably only got highlighted by the Netflix show. But at the same time, it's like, okay, he actually probably did better than my driver. Like, if I was a Joey Logano fan, you have to admit that Bubba Wallace was better than Joey Logano, at least from a playoff standpoint. But I still think there's a missed opportunity, and I think it goes exactly what you're talking about, Travis. There is no reason that NASCAR should reach out every single week and say, Dale Jr. download Dirty Mo Media, listen to Dale Jr., listen to Door Bumper Clear, listen to Denny Hamlin, listen to The Rundown with Jordan Bianchi. That stuff is unparalleled compared to other sports. Other sports with an inside look do not come close when it comes to talking about their sport with the expertise and the honesty. You know, like we're trying to figure out if Shohei Ohtani bet on baseball. We have no clue because you want to answer questions.
No.
But to be serious, and then like, you know, Door Bumper Clear will have like two guys wreck on the very next, like 2 days later, and like that were pissed off at each other. And you just don't get that in sports, man. You don't get that spin to it. And I think NASCAR drops the ball because Dale Jr. is as much as I didn't like him on the track, mainly because his beef with Kyle Busch, dude is amazing for our sport. I mean, absolutely amazing. He should be in the Hall of Fame just as an ambassador for what he does for NASCAR.
I think that's why he's in the Hall of Fame, if we're going to be honest with you. No,
you can't.
That's important.
All right, guys. All right.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I just see you. No, you can't disagree with that at all. That is exactly why he's in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame because of, I mean, some would argue his name, but also he's in the Hall of Fame because what he brings to the sport and just the amount of people that he is able to convey the sport to, I think is a great word. But Ryan, I was just going to say, you know what, NASCAR at least has one major organization beat on how they market and push and advertise their product. They do a much better job than IndyCar. I mean, half the time you don't even know when IndyCar's coming on. I mean, you talk to
you're not wrong.
You know, in IndyCar's just like, hey, yeah, we're gonna have these races. Here's our schedule figured out.
To be fair, Joe, did they race last weekend?
Sort of. It was a non-points race.
That's why I saw Alex below, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, sort of. They had cars on the track. I don't know if you'd call what they did a race, but anyway, go ahead, Travis. I apologize.
No, not. I think you make a great valid point there, but you also look at, you know, kind of the same thing we just talked about. Think about like DoorDash. DoorDash had all kinds of Bubba commercials and stuff like that last year. And I mean, you know, there were some articles I read this week about, you know, don't quote me on it, but, you know, DoorDash was like, yeah, we kind of lost money. Like people didn't
they
like
just
Bubba.
left. They left.
Yeah, they were like, well, I'm not getting any money out of this.
They announced today that they ended their partnership.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, Monday, whatever it was. But I'm sitting there going, like, I think they were like, holy crap. Like fans, you know, NASCAR was pushing Bubba Wallace, like to be the thing. And, you know, they were like, heck yeah, like we'll get on board with this. Like we'll party with this. And they, you know, they went to, you know, they probably went to a race or watched people like, oh crap. Like people don't like Bubba because of like his whininess is like blah, blah, blah. Like I swear to you, if DoorDash would have gone with a Elliott, maybe not even an Elliott, but maybe like a Gregson or something like that, they're in the sport still. Like they are not getting away from it because people connected like a Gregson or I could even say Bowman out of this. You know, some of these other people that do a really good job, like fan base wise. But I think they just were like, oh, well, look, could be on this guy. Like maybe he's well liked and got all the drivers pushing behind him, and then you know it's like, oh crap, like this isn't what we thought. You know, so I still think DoorDash should be in the sport if we're gonna be honest. But I think that's part of it too. I think they're promoting the right things and they're promoting like the people that are hot, not just promoting people because they think they can push them. I think they've promoted a little bit better now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with today's culture, with DEI and ESG scores, you know, they were pushing a Bubba Wallace when. You know, they had him come with guys that won championships on their Stingers, and he had won a race. So
I come from my perspective, and I know your perspective. Yeah, and I know your perspective, Ryan. You see the same thing I do. You know, I'm not gonna sit in a lot of you that I'm a huge Larson fan, and it so shocks me over the last 2 years. Like Larson won a championship, and then you watch like last year and the year before that, where he got like he wasn't really hardly promoted.
Yeah.
Like they were still like scared, like, oh, people don't like him because he said the N-word, which is awful. He did an awful thing. Don't get me wrong. But it's in there going, no, people like him because he's a racer. Like he races everything. Like if it was me, that's who I'd be promoting racers. Like promote the people that go and do all these other things.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where like this year I've seen them NASCAR promote him a little bit more. I've seen them to promote the Kyle Busch a little bit more. They're promoting the Denny Hamlin a little bit more. Joey Logano, they're promoting people that they should be promoting. Yeah, did they always promote Elliott? Yes. Why would you not promote the guy that always gets the most popular award? But they're actually promoting some of the people that are more the face of the sport, the more people that they race day in and day out, and NASCAR's doing a much better job with that. I don't know what the statistics are on that, but I think NASCAR is finally like, okay, like we're going to promote the people that race, people that are up front more, people that are taking the sport to the next step rather than the people that are whining or who we thought was popular.
Right.
I think.
Well, the next question I have, and we're going to go off base. We were going to talk some Xfinity and truck, but bye. We'll do that next time. So I want to ask you guys, when it comes to these drivers and being promotable, like my favorite driver, Kyle Busch, essentially was told that he can't find sponsorship. We see what happened between Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell. I was going to do a let's talk about it when it comes to Chase Elliott. Like, why is Chase so popular? Because I listened to him on Dale Jr. Download, and then I listened to Kenny Wallace, and they had their takes, and I'll take that down a different road, or the three of us will just have a separate show one day and talk about, Chase Elliott being the last link to the 1990s generation because of his dad. But when I look at the other drivers at that time, they were out and about marketing their stuff, talking about, what they were selling NASCAR. Do you guys believe that the reason why NASCAR is not promoted by the drivers anymore is either they don't care because they haven't had to, they're scared to speak their voice because of the culture we've created where you can get canceled literally any single day, like Kyle Larson while he said something stupid, it was taken from a context that, not trying to defend it, but taken from a context that happened all the time. If you have a microphone in a video game, you will hear it nonstop. Was it stupid? Absolutely. But was he going out saying it to people? No, not to defend it, but there is,
it wasn't racially motivated. I think is
exactly.
the right,
he's actually speaking to people he knows, and he used a word that I guess we come up as a culture that only certain people are allowed to use that word, even though it's used in modern day music and everything else. So what is it that has made the modern NASCAR driver not marketable? Is it the driver themselves? Is it culture themselves? Is it something in between? Joe, I'd love to get your take on why isn't Kyle Larson somebody thrown in front of you every single day? Because when he's got a microphone in front of his face, he actually is really entertaining.
Yeah, I don't think it really has anything to do with the individual drivers. We talk about Bubba Wallace. Travis, you talk about DoorDash losing money on the Bubba Wallace sponsorship. Well, I really think it's more of a business model and marketing breakdown on the part of NASCAR and the way that they promote their sports themselves. They are not encouraging their drivers to be out in the public and promote the sport. I don't feel that they are. I think NASCAR is by and large promoted more, and I'm not patting us on the back doing this show, but it's promoted more by people like us who are just passionate and grew up with the sport and love the sport more than it's actually promoted by NASCAR. I think when we were kids, and you go back to the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s when NASCAR really took off, early 2000s, it seemed like that's all you saw. I mean, every other thing was
Every
Hey,
pop machine.
everything was NASCAR. Every calendar you saw was NASCAR. It seemed like, and I don't, and maybe that's the region we grew up in. I don't know, but I felt like it was all over the place. Now, you know, every restaurant you went in, it had the NASCAR calendar up on the wall. Where are they going to be this week? And now I think the idea in the business structure, and this as far as doing radio, but one of the biggest free mediums still out there is public radio, because it's free. Most people that don't have a satellite subscription still listen to a local radio station on their way into work for at least 15 minutes a day, and I think the statistics out there that still reaches like 86% of the people, potentially. I think now the business structure of NASCAR is all this information's readily available. We have all these independent people that are readily available. When you talk about actions detrimental, or the Dale Jr. download, all these former racers that are putting this out there, the business model of NASCAR is it's going to sell themselves. And I don't think that they put enough effort into it. And I don't think they push the athletes or the drivers in their sport to promote it as well, because I think that it's just like, hey, sit back. People will come to us. If you build it, they will come. And I really think that mentality has to change. And one of the biggest bumps that we talked about earlier was, the Netflix special with NASCAR, which I do think has brought a new demographic into it, but they need to keep that up. I mean, that needs to be every season. The sport needs to be promoted, because when people are into the sport, people get into the sport, and there's a regeneration of the sport that we are starting to see. I think that NASCAR is going to take off, and I think it's going to be as big as it was in the mid 90s and late 90s. And I think we're getting back there. And I think it's starting to resurge like that. But I think NASCAR as a whole has to put more effort into it. Sorry for the rant.
No, you're great. Those were all great points, Joe. And I think, to your point, there wasn't other sports putting up 160,000 seat venues like Bristol Motor Speedway was, like the things that NASCAR was able to reach at that time. And the only way you're able to reach that at that time is if it's constantly on your brain. You're right. Like if I go into Napa Auto Parts, I was seeing a Ron Hornaday, advertisement or something of that nature. It's almost like the advertisement was just as tied in to the sport as the sport was tied into the advertisement. And the driver was, as I think Kyle Busch, not just because it's Kyle Busch, but I feel like Kyle Busch still sells his stuff. Like he's still in that old school mentality. Like, whenever he's talking about, he usually makes a joke about whatever his sponsor is to, whatever it is. Good luck actually knowing what it is. I think it's Rebel Bourbon this week. So I would guarantee you, if you listen to Kyle Busch talk, he'll make a tongue-in-cheek joke about Rebel Bourbon somehow, some way, tying it in so that it's one special opportunity. I don't hear that anymore. I don't know what the hell Raptor is. I have no clue. I couldn't tell you what Raptor. It won this week on the winning car.
Is it a car liner or something?
It's a truck bed liner.
Yeah, it's a truck bed liner.
There you go. It's a truck bed liner. Have no freaking clue. Have no idea. I know that the hats that William Byron wears are $150. Those big stupid hats at the trailers. I know that. Couldn't tell you anything about Raptor. Have no clue. I've never heard of, Rebel Bourbon this year, McLaren grills, all these different things. I just feel like there's no tie-in. There's no, amount of giving a shit to actually what this sponsor is that you're driving for. And to me, the sponsors, as you know, Travis, are what make racing. If you don't have sponsors, unless you're just rich, unless you're Frankie Muniz because you used to be on a show, you don't just race. You got to have money. And I feel like there's no commitment there anymore. And, is that a driver problem or is that a NASCAR problem?
I mean, look at it this way. And this is how I view things. Like, I look at when I was, I don't know, that was a good comment. I look at NASCAR as this. When I was younger, it was so hard to see like your favorite drivers or meet drivers or, even get close to the drivers. That came from, you go to the infield hoping to see one of them, or you'd hoping to get within 10 feet of one of them. I still remember when I was at the Brickyard, I got within like 100 yards of Jeff Gordon. I could see him from a distance, and I was like, that is the
That's
coolest
pretty
thing ever.
freaking far.
So cool. You know, he got on an airplane, took off, whatever. I think it is just so easy nowadays to like meet your hero or meet one of your favorite drivers. And you got your story about, you know, uh, Kyle Busch. You know, I've met Kyle Larson probably 3 or 4 times, and it's just, you know, and I think that comes from the form of it's so readily easy, and I think sponsors have a lot to do with that because they got them in all these promotions, or they got them, hey, we're going to do this autograph signing here, or we're going to do this autograph sign here. You know, now they got all these race shops. Like you can go to Hendrick Motorsports, and you know now all these shops are open, and they're always in there. And
Let me ask you this, Travis, not to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But okay, so Chase Elliott was asked by Dale Jr. You know, he's tried different series. Really, there's only maybe 3 guys that consistently run outside of NASCAR. Are they easier to meet? Yeah, social media makes things a lot easier because usually you just knew where they were on race day unless you saw a promotion at a gas station. Hey, Michael McDowell will be at Love's from 12 to 1 on this race weekend. Yeah. Do you think that the personal connection is lost as somebody that races local dirt track because only a Kyle Larson, a Kyle Busch, and no longer an Alex Bowman or Christopher Bell are racing during the week at their local short tracks? Do you think like that interpersonal connection's not there anymore, or you know, do you think that has something to do with it?
I think that's part of it, and I also just think that you know,
because that's one of the reasons I think people love Kyle Larson is because he seems like a guy. He seems like an everyday dude that they have an opportunity to meet at a place that sits 300 people, and I think that that's an awesome thing.
Yeah, and I don't know how to explain it, but I just think it was so hard, and these drivers are put on an absolute pedestal. Like I think of some of these drivers, like, oh my god, like if I met him one day, like I would be the coolest person ever. Or you go, man, I just saw him, like that is awesome. Didn't get to meet him, but I saw him.
Yeah,
and then you know, like Eric and I went to Indy the other day, and I was able to name all these drivers, and I was like, you know, I could walk up to him. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because the way I see it nowadays is I always look at these people as like on a pedestal. Like, oh my God, like I can't believe I got within 10 feet of Carl Edwards. I still remember being within 10 feet of Carl Edwards on a Kentucky Speedway when he was back in 04 or 03 or 05 or whatever it was. And I remember I actually got the Meyer 300 presented by Oreo, had over there where he signed it. But you know, nowadays I just feel like it's so easy to meet them or talk to them or whatever. And I don't think the drivers are put on such a pedestal anymore. And it's just, and I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I think it's just, and that's the way I see it, you know. And it's like you said, you know, the connections with sponsors, you know, these, like I think of like a Bobby Hamilton Jr., man. He had a 36 race sponsorship with Tide, with the PEM Racing Group. And he had like, you know, some of these places just had a full-time sponsor. And nowadays, it's like you just said, Kyle Busch. He has 10 different sponsors now. I think Kyle Larson and might be one of the only people that has a full-time sponsor that's over 30 races.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being a kid going to Tinker's Implements in East Enterprise, Indiana. If you want to know what that's like, it's very, very small, Fairview, Indiana, whatever you want to call it, and seeing Chad Little on John Deere products. You know, like you would see multiple sponsors of NASCAR inside of these little mom and pop stops and things of that nature. So I think
that's why Chase Elliott is so popular, because he does not interact with anybody, and he is on this pedestal of like I'm still, you know, Chase Elliott's like, I'm still way above all you guys, and he kind of admitted that I'm still way above all you guys. And I think everyone's still like chasing him, like, oh my God, like how close can I get to him to meet him? Where like you got the Larsons and stuff like that. I don't think their fans are as out there as much, but it's like, well, God, like, why am I voting for him? I know he's popular. I'm a fan of him. Like, why do I need popular? Where Chase Elliott fans are like, oh my God, pound, like he's still on this pedestal. He's still Jesus Christ. Like, I still want to, he's still the greatest of all time, you know, because he doesn't go out and interact. And I think that's why Chase is on a pedestal compared to all these other racers that race all these multiple series, because they interact with these people. They actually talk to them. It's like stuff like that. So
and this is something that's going to be, again, a long form. And Joe, you can speak to this. But we went with Chase Elliott fans that were, in their 40s and their 50s. And I texted one of them the other day, Travis, and who's a Mark Martin fan. I said, if Mark Martin's son was in NASCAR, would you root for him over Chase Elliott? He goes, oh, yeah, in a heartbeat. To me, Chase Elliott is the only thing tied to the last great generation of the most popular aspect of NASCAR. That's the only reason why I think Chase Elliott is popular, is because he is the son of Bill Elliott. There are no more NASCAR families involved from the greatest of what we view the best part of NASCAR. There are no Allisons. There are no Pettys. There are no, anything. Now, I sent you the picture of Brexton Bush with Owen Larson in Kyle Larson's car. We're the people that watch this sport, and that's what's going to continue it, is if those guys move through. But I think that those people in the 90s and early 2000s have been disconnected because there's no more Earnhardts.
Yeah.
There's no more Waltrips. I mean, there's just nothing that ties them back. And I think that's the only reason why Chase Elliott's popular. Joe, do you think there's any truth to that? Or do you think, it's just because he's got this wonderful personality, not to just pigeonhole you on an answer?
No, you're absolutely right. Chase Elliott is the most popular driver because people of my generation grew up with Bill Elliott being their parents' favorite driver. Dale Jr. was my favorite driver because Dale Earnhardt was my dad's favorite driver. And that's because that's what kids do. Because when you're a kid, let's be honest, by and large, you don't think for yourself. You follow what your parents
100%
are doing, whether that comes to politics or sports. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan because I grew up in Cincinnati and my dad was a Cincinnati Bengals fan. If my dad was a San Francisco 49ers fan, I can guarantee you that I'd be a 49ers fan, no matter where I lived. And the generation that we live in, that is the last connection. And the main demographic, the biggest demographic for NASCAR right now, are people between the ages of 35 and 50. That's the biggest draw. And that is the generation that grew up watching their parents watch Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, and he is the last connection. So people people naturally migrate to him, but I also think that Chase got into the sport at the right time. He got into the sport at the end of Dale Jr.'s career, and all those fans migrated
into Jeff Gordon's career,
and into Jeff Gordon's career, and all those fans migrated to him. And one of the arguments, or I won't call it argument, but discussion that I think that we kind of left out is, we're attributing the Chase Elliott effect to higher NASCAR viewership. We're attributing the Netflix special to higher NASCAR viewership. Maybe NASCAR viewership is just getting better because there's a new generation that people are buying into.
That's what I hope.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's ready to come out and say that, but I think if we're sitting here in 2 years and it has steadily grown and we're getting 6 million viewers a race, every race, 7 million, and it's getting back to where it was in the late 90s, in the middle of its heyday, then, that's when Kyle Larson is 35 years old and, he has a decade worth of fans that have been supporting him hardcore for 10 years, 11 years. I think, you start building a new generation of hardcore fans. And then, by the time that they phase out, by the time, Kyle Larson decides to stop running in NASCAR, if he doesn't retire early, his son will be getting ready to start hopping in a car on a national circuit. So, I think we are seeing a resurgence because I think we are seeing the evolution or the evolution of the sport into newer NASCAR families. And I think we did have a couple off years there, but I think it's coming back, and I think it's coming back in a big way.
Yeah, and I think just kind of off time. I know we got to move on and stuff, but I just look at it like you just said. I think you said it perfectly. But I just see it where, I think Chase Elliott's on this pedestal, and I will firmly believe that. And he's on this pedestal because people can't meet him, people can't talk to him, people can't do this stuff. So they see him way above, right? Where I think people, respect some of the racers because like when I talk to him, like I have a lot of respect for Kyle Busch, for the sake of like like you just said, Ryan, you talked to him about Brexton racing over at Rushville and stuff like that. He was just a dude. Like he's just a dude you could talk to. Yeah. And I think people are like, oh yeah, I'm a fan of that because of blah, blah, but he's not my favorite driver because Chase Elliott is, we go to the races with two guys that are huge Chase Elliott fans. Why are you Chase Elliott fans? Well, Bell Elliott and, he took over blah, 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 well, do you like his personality? Well, I don't care about his personality. It is what it is, but that's just the only thing I got. I think that's
his last name's Elliott, by God.
That's where we're at.
Well, the thing is about the sport, and this will tie a bow on it. When you're watching baseball, that's probably been the closest thing. And you got to think about it this way, too. When baseball was its most popular, there was father-son combos that helped keep the sport alive, whether it was the Griffeys or, insert, whatever other family that has actually played, brothers playing in the sport like the Palmers. There are all kinds of things that the Ripkins, the Boones, so on and so forth. People found generations worth of people to support and get behind. And NASCAR's been that way until Dale Earnhardt Jr. was on his way out, and Jimmy Johnson, the most boring driver of all time, personality-wise, inserted his way into dominance. And it just, to me, it just made this chasm that formed, and it just, it brought people away. And then NASCAR's like, how do we save ourselves? And, they came out with rules like every other day that you just couldn't follow immediately. But I'm hoping we'll get to the point with a Keelan Harvick, with a Brexton Busch, and Owen Larson, to where now my son and myself, as I get into the latter parts of my life, follow these guys, and you keep that generational overload going, because those are the only sports that really do that. You don't really see all the guys that we've ever heard in basketball from their dad aren't that great. I mean, all the other guys in football aren't that great. NASCAR's been that one sport where the Allisons moving down up to Davey, they kept up with that competitive level. You wanted, John Forrester talks about meeting Kenny and Rusty and then Mike Wallace at the same time. And Kenny Wallace was just as popular as a dude as Rusty Wallace. So I'm hoping that we continue that where we lost that gap as we have a dog.
You can say hi to Piper. Here. Piper, you going to make your debut? Hi, Pipers.
I'll put you in sleeper hold, Piper, just
hi,
like the real Piper.
Hi, Pipers.
Well, guys, that was a great off-topic segment, and so we got a question. So Ryan, Joe, and Travis, how do you guys feel about the truck penalties?
There was no truck penalties.
We'll talk about penalties. We'll just go ahead and pretend that didn't happen for the loss of that rear end housing. I don't think, like Travis said, there's no penalty for it.
Luckily,
you should get a 2-tire penalty for it. I don't know, but there wasn't. And then John said, "Don't forget about Mr. Harvick coming up." I didn't forget. I said Keelan. I don't know all of his kids.
He said that. I heard it.
Oh, Caden Yorn. That's a new one. Travis
the goat.
Shout out to the Butt Posse.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to our game, rolling off the grid. But first, we have a highlight for just Joe Spillman. Ooh, a guy that's won here before.
Yeah.
In the next gen.
Yeah. Ooh. Let's go with 7th.
7th for the watermelon man. Screwed.
Oh, Lord, that's tough.
25th.
Joe's had a tough week with these. Joe's had a tough week.
Yeah, he did.
I had cupcake.
I actually, can I change that?
You can say whatever you want. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 15th.
Now, Joe, here's what I did last week. I gave him the benefit of the doubt and said 17th, and that screwed me. So, but 15th, lock it in. Final answer.
Let's split the difference. Let's go 20.
My guy
shit.
could have had a double banger, the first one
Damn.
on the
Can't believe
channel.
that.
You always go with your gut. You always go with your gut.
Wow.
And it's a week after he had Martin Truex Jr. as his driver, and he's like, let's switch it out. And Martin Truex ended up getting second place at Bristol. So, like you said, Joe, you were that close, man. You were that
Man.
close. You turned 10 points into 1 point, unfortunately. But it is time to play our game, so let's go ahead and get on with rolling off the grid.
That video scares the shit
All
out of
right,
me.
so let's go ahead. Well, it's not your sister, it's mine. So let's go ahead and look at the points. We have myself with 19, Joe with 21, could have been a lot more, and Travis with 28. We all have a win, or an exact pick exactly right. Joe could have went with the double dong and had 2, but as you saw, his insecurities, unfortunately, didn't lead him to that. Yeah.
She likes attention.
Yeah, well, she's not on payroll. I just want to get that clear.
If you're not petting her, she slaps you in the face.
Oh my God. Thanks a lot, Michael Vick. They're turning around on us now. Oh no. I'm trying to pull up the game and it's not working. Oh, thank God.
I'm not, Zach. I am not insecure with that at all.
I didn't read that because I have my screen popped up and I'm scared to read it, so I'm not going to. So
you guys want to see something funny?
Well,
Watch
we have a
this.
dog.
Ready?
I mean, what else do we...
Who's here? Piper, who's here?
That is not
Oh,
funny.
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Am I
So
up
long
first?
to that
or
person's
who's up
new
first?
pair of socks. Yeah, you're up first, Travis. Here we go.
Okay, let's see it.
We're moving the Toyota ad. Oh, I froze. What is going on? Well, all right.
Oh God, are you kidding me? Let's go 21st.
21st. That'd be a good week for Mr. Austin Dillon. All right, Joe, you're next.
Can I change that?
No.
You can do whatever you want. Like I said.
Well, before I pick, go ahead. If you want to change it, change it.
Oh,
That's yours, Joe.
What did he do at Bristol?
he ran like 18th. I think.
He intentionally tried to get a caution and ran like 20 miles an hour and pissed everybody off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very great discussion on door bumper clear.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's split them. Let's go 17th.
17th for Mr. Hosevar. I'm up now. Okay. Well, as you'll see in my picks, this no secret that the Toyota Owners 400 is typically dominated by Toyota. So I'm going to go 5th with Christopher Bell. The wheel's got to get stuff together. Oh, here you go. This is a guy you've been liking, Travis.
Give
The hack.
me. God. Give me 7th.
All right.
I'm gonna regret that. He's gonna finish like 4th or 3rd.
Snip it. Joe's up next. And this guy gets picked every damn week. I swear,
Man,
I randomly
never
like
know where
6
to-
or 7 times.
I never know where to go with him, man. He could finish 5th or he could finish.
He's
3rd.
won this, right? Didn't he win at Richmond? In my memory served correctly, he won at Richmond here recently.
I don't remember him. Did
No, because Larson won there. No, yes, he did.
I'll say
I don't
thought
think
he
that's
won.
where he. I don't think. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, Joe. Do you, bro? You got it. Don't listen to us.
Let's go 14th.
14th. 14 for the 17. Let's get a driver we haven't had. Oh, not this one though. Jesus. 30th. Next.
Yeah. He's doing great.
God, he's terrible. Travis will get okay.
Oh my god.
You got some decent drivers this week.
Yeah, they're tough. Like Hendrick hasn't been very good. I think these are tougher than the people that run in the back.
Yeah.
Give me fifth.
Ooh.
Hendrick hasn't been very good. Give me top 5. Which is not a bad bet considering it's been a Joe Gibbs Hendrick season so far. Joe. Oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm doing it. The win, baby.
Oh yeah. Joe,
Give me P1.
If you predict the win and get the win, 5 extra bonus points. I'm going to add that right now. Addendum 327 at 10 p.m.
The thing is, picking the winner is just dumb because you can't go forward.
Yep.
I know, but it takes
But
balls.
I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
Yeah, I hope it works better for you than Christopher Busher did for me. No. Go up to Dylan so I have to go again. Go up to Dylan so I have to go again. Go up to Dylan. Yes.
I'll switch you.
Don't say that. You don't know who I got yet. All right, I'll trade you. Jesus.
No, actually, I'd like my pick more.
I'm going to go dyslexic from his number and go 14.
Wow.
All right.
That'd be a great day for pre. This is kind of a what was those like wheeling modifieds? He's usually pretty good at those. So this would be this type of track. So yeah.
Did
there you go.
Ryan Priest running that? Was
The
he a
wheeling modifieds?
Was he a wheeling modified driver? I didn't know that.
Yep.
I like watching them.
Yep. So that is our game. Double dogs.
Piper.
It's been a very interesting show.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and move on to this week's preview. A Sunday 7:00 night race that people have to work on the next day.
Makes sense.
All right, so let's look at the points. Gross. I am in last place in both, and Joe, you're ahead of me by 1 point in both.
How does Travis have 3 wins?
on that.
I feel like you're cheating.
Where'd my wins? Was it
I don't
Vegas?
know. I'm not counting your wins. I don't give a shit. Jeez, oh Pete. Like I'm going to count your wins. Get the hell out of here. So I do want to say NASCAR did not post a picture for Eric Jones. So Eric Jones is kicking it sideways. They saw the picture I got.
What a sleeper pick, guys. That's a
that
sleeper pick. Whoa, I didn't realize Richmond was a night race.
Yeah, 7 p.m.
Does
What?
does that change your 5 drivers?
I had why did I not know that was a night race?
I've been
guys?
running 20,000 simulations, and Eric Jones is much better at day.
Yeah, can I change my pick?
No.
The graphics here, man. I'm sorry. So, Travis, you're in the lead. Go ahead with your picks.
I think Ryan Blaney was an easy pick. I cannot believe you guys didn't pick Ryan Blaney. Been terrific on short tracks. I think that's just going to keep rolling over. Obviously, Bell has been dominant. I think you just keep rolling into that. I think you look at Chastain, where's he been the best at? Short tracks. He was pretty good at Phoenix. I think this Phoenix is going to be a lot like this. I picked Reddick because he's had a bad couple weeks, in my opinion. So I think he's going to recover. And then if you look at Jones was in the top 5 for 75% of the race at Phoenix. Until he got bombarded by somebody, got pushed into the wall by somebody. So I think Jones was a pick that he was outside 20. he was outside the top 20 in points, so I decided to sneak my little top 20 pick in there.
And you can make your picks as well. And like you just alluded to, we are using outside the top 20 currently in the driver standings. Joe, I know this is kind of a tough track for you because last year Denny Hamlin decided to punt your favorite driver, JJ Yaley, like the asshole that he is. But you still decide to go with him anyway. So go ahead and break down your picks.
No, I mean, for obvious reasons, I said this last week. For obvious reasons, I'm always going to take who I think is the best driver in the world on any short track, and that's Kyle Larson. Obviously, Ty Gibbs has been impressing the shit out of me. I hate Denny Hamlin, but I mean, Denny Hamlin's Denny Hamlin right now. I think it's time for Truex for a big win or a good finish. I feel like it's just a matter of time. I really don't know. I was trying to look or remember off the top of my head what Truex did at this track last year. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm going with my gut on that one. And then obviously Gregson is there because I had to pick a driver outside the top 20.
Truex dominated last year until it was a pit strategy call as the reason Larson won.
I felt that's what I thought. I felt like he ran really well last year, but I didn't want to say that because I can't remember. So,
well, Kyle Larson won here last year.
Quit making love to your dog.
Yeah, Larson won, but I think Truex dominated.
Yeah.
20. Yeah. So you had the top 5. Oh boy, this would have been a sleeper. Kyle Larson, Josh Berry got second, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, and Kevin Harvick, Josh Berry's new car. I think Kevin Harvick was up there the last couple years, but then fell off and couldn't finish. Martin Truex Jr. ended up here last year. Jackson got last, even though JJ Yaley was spun out early in that race. So there you go. I decided to go with Christopher Bell because I think Toyotas dominate here. Kyle Busch, I went with Kyle because he's got 9 wins here in multiple different series. Sorry, just had to show Travis for a second. We have Denny Hamlin, who, even though this is technically a home track, he will get booed, but usually does pretty good on smaller tracks. Martin Truex Jr., Joe, you've already said it. And then I chose Ricky Stenhouse because I think that's a cool-looking car. So, so that is my analysis. When it comes to Richmond, it is supposed to be a tire track. It used to be a tire track. It used to be a strategy / fuel saving track, which made it entertaining at times. Will the beginning and middle be very entertaining? Probably not. But at the end, it used to be entertaining. So we'll see how it goes because we may just do, I may jump in and do a last stage or depending on what family and stuff I got going on, may just do the race and then carry that out since it is a 7 o'clock start. That means it'll probably be a 10 o'clock finish. And then, we might just jump in if you guys aren't busy that afternoon. But NASCAR doesn't care. We all have to work the next day. But like I said, I'm all for night races. I enjoy it. So do you guys have anything else to add to Richmond? It is not developed the most exciting races. As Kyle Busch said, are you excited to go to Richmond? Can't pass there.
What was interesting last year was actually in the night race, I'm pretty sure, the outside groove came in a lot. Like they were actually almost running the wall. So it was actually kind of interesting. I thought that was a little.
And 1 and 2.
I thought that was a little interesting. So
it's 3 and 4. They almost never do
so
that.
I'm a
It's
like
almost always like
actually like I just like I said, I ran it earlier. In 1 and 2, I had to start running a little higher, and 3 and 4 is on the bottom. So it's a fun track. Like I said, I mean, it's a lot of throttle control. You can't really mat it. It's definitely interesting.
And we will see people screw up trying to get to pit road. It's one of the hardest pit roads to get to in the entire series.
Ambulance
like you said. Ambulance
got hit back in 2015, 2016.
Well,
you don't remember when Matt Kenseth hit it?
Friday.
Matt Kenseth, I think, hit it.
I don't remember an ambulance ever being hit. Do you remember that, Joe?
I remember a jet dryer being hit by Juan Pablo Montoya.
Nope, we're gonna look it up right now.
Juan Pablo.
No. If it happened, Joe or Travis, we'll make it a short, and then people will come to the
There you
channel.
go.
They're like, "Oh my God, those guys know
Yeah.
that." And obviously, this is where the Kyle Busch, Dale Jr. feud started. So, well, guys, I hope you were able to endure an over hour long show. This was Joe and I's typicals. We actually used to have to try to get below an hour and
Right.
30. But I do want to say, Travis, Joe, tremendous conversation today when it comes to, the overall with the sport and the drivers and stuff. I thought you guys really hit some interesting points, each of you. And you can tell why you guys love this sport and are very, very knowledgeable at it. So hopefully you guys were entertained by it. And I will say you can follow us at these different aspects: Facebook, Patreon, and Rumble. And make sure you check us out on Friday. That will be the next video, because that's where Travis and Joe will show you how to make some money.
Yeah.
Live stream tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, sir. We will be at Auto Club at 8:30.
Yep,
correct?
8:30 Auto Club with
Eight.
Crew Chief Joe, and Ryan will be spotter here in a couple weeks, I'd assume, right?
Absolutely. I will be spotting or possibly taking somebody's place if they quit as a
Hey, that too. We could do that.
as I could be a free agent driver. We will find out. So, my name is Ryan Peters, for my wonderful co-host Travis Butt and Joe Spillman. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining Stuck in the Catch Fence. God bless.